I used to think it was an art and that you had to almost have an art degree to make pretty clusters. No, you don't. You need a formula, like Jamie Pate said, formula. And so my little formula is 4 layers, and so far, so good. It's working. I want to begin on this layout talking about level 1 of the embellishment cluster. I began the clusters on the other layouts with the base. And so I've put the base down here, which is level 2. But before I go into level 3, I'm going to do something different for level 1. Now, level 1 I call the spray, and it is just elements that can fan out. And one of the ways that you can have a spray is by having a flourish, either a die cut or a sticker flourish. And I'm thinking of maybe having one in this corner. We'll see. Another way is to have a flourish. Now, I stamped this and then fussy cut it out. And I will sit and do that. I will pick a stamp and an ink, and I will stamp a lot of these and then get in front of the television and fussy cut these things out. And I have them literally by the bag. And it's a great way to use up scraps because most of this is some kind of scrap paper. And so now I have a bag of flourishes that I can pull from. I have the leaves, flourishes, and a variety of shapes. So that's one way. Of course, I can put leaves and punches and a lot of things here to be my spray, and I'm going to want it to go out in this direction. But today, I'm going to stamp. I've had this stamp for a long time. It is a Club Scrap stamp. Back when I had a Club Scrap membership, and I have really liked it. I have been a chicken about stamping onto my pages directly. But when I've done this over and over again for a while, I start to really feel better about my stamping. And so now my courage is up, and my confidence that I can stamp here and here is high enough that I'm going to go ahead and do it. Now, I want it on both sides, and I need to make sure that I'm angling them correctly. And I want this one. Now, this one may go off the page here. And so I want something to protect the underside here if I go off the page. And that's called a scratch sheet of paper. So I'm going to put a scratch sheet of paper over here because I expect to stamp off the page here. Because what I want is for this part of the stamp to really show the most with that big tag coming over here. And then I'll have a good amount of the stamp image showing here. Yeah, and I could even tilt it a little more here. My first recommendation is that you play around with the angle of your stamp to kind of figure out how you're going to want to stamp it in which place. And this is a rubber stamp with a wood block. So it's not going to be the same as an acrylic or photopolymer stamp that you can see through. But I think I'm confident about where I want to put this and this. So I'm about to ink up my stamp. I'm using Northern Pine by Memento. It's an ink, I'm sorry, that Creative Memories has. But I already had one, so my one I bought from Creative Memories is still on the blocks. Now, one thing I would advise, first piece of advice, on your very first time using a stamp, even if it's one, I've used this before, but not in a while, I'm going to stamp it on a piece of paper and look to see if I'm getting what I think I want to get. Yes. Okay. So I like how it's coming out. I need to be very steady with this stamp and not slide when I stamp it. I need to make sure I'm lifting straight up. I always like to do that first impression on a scratch piece of paper because more times than not, you may not have inked your stamp well, and getting that little first layer of ink on your stamp can really be beneficial. So I said I wanted it about right there. And I'm putting it down, and now I'm putting some pressure on it. And then I'm going to make sure I lift it straight up. And that looks lovely. And so now when I put this on here, I have a lovely spray. And when I start putting my other embellishments on there, this is coming out beautifully. And so now let's get the one on the top left. Now I did go off the page just a little bit. And I think that is lovely. I like that. And so stamping your level one, I'm really tempted, and I think I will. I'm going to put a second one on here on the right side. Now, as you can see, I didn't put much stamping right there because it's going to be covered. But I really like that. That really fills that in nicely. Now, much of it may get covered by the embellishments because I do intend to write in this box right here. This one was meant to be a journaling stamp, and this one is very much a base for the clusters. And I'm using a cloth to clean. I do clean my stamps. Someone asks, yes, I clean my stamps. I have a chamois and even my rubber stamps. I think it just preserves their life. So now I am just tickled. I have a little spray element coming here, and I have a spray element here. And so now let me start filling in my cluster. So I have a ticket, and I have a notched banner, and I have a label, and I have my spray. And up here I have something similar. But I'm going to, let's see how I'm going to put that. I'm going to do the same thing. A banner, a ticket, and a label. I die cut these elements here with scraps using my punches and tools and dies. And I think I can put another little tag here and a visual triangle. Surprise, surprise. And, I thought I was going to add even more to these clusters, but quite frankly, I think they're fine. I will put the finishers on. But let me get all of this adhered down, and we'll talk about the finishers. So now we have our clusters down, and they're simple, but I like it. I think the stamped layer one for the spray is just perfect. I am so happy to use that stamp and kicking myself. I should have been using it more and more sooner. For level four, I've got these glitter enamel dots from Chamel. I should have been using them all along, but that aside, I'm going to put some finishers around my clusters. I'm going to focus first on these stars, and I think I want to put on this small star. I'm going to go by size. So um, the smallest star on my smallest cluster right there. And I guess this is my biggest cluster, even though that looks almost as big. But I'll put the medium star. I'm going to put the medium star here on near this cluster somewhere. And I'm actually going to put two of them. This one and here. They're on a diagonal, so that emphasizes. Now you know what? I want to put the darker one on the bottom. And the reason is I think dark colors are just heavier. And then I'm going to put the biggest star. And I'll put the dark one here. And another one up here on this cluster. And I'll be honest, I want one more on this cluster right here. So I'll put this small one right there. And this little star looks like he's not healthy. Oh, there he goes. Okay. I'm very pleased with how these clusters turned out. Level 1, stamping the spray. Level 2, my base. I'm going to journal on this base, and I have a nice little title / saying on this one. Level 3 are all of my fun elements, tickets, labels, notched banners. I could go into my sticker collection and pull out more and more and more. There just is not too much. You put as much as you want on your clusters. And level 4, the finishers. Now, just before the close-ups, I do hope you have found that this video about my little process for making embellishment clusters with a 4-layer approach is helpful and inspiring to you. If so, please leave a comment. And also like this video, subscribe to the channel, and watch another video. YouTube is going to recommend one, and I hope you'll watch it.